So
Okay.
the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Winding Creek on the southeast side of Jesup. We are the Bohemian Reformation. This is a C. Brown Arts Center podcast network with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for December 30th, 2024.
Okay, so tomorrow night.
The weeks
What do
go
they
so
always call December 31st?
New Year's Eve,
But what do they really call it?
December 31st.
Okay, the heavy drinkers that I grew up with, they called it amateur night. That's where all everybody that couldn't hold their liquor without it, they would stay home because they didn't want to get caught with all those amateurs out there ruining everything. So, yeah. Would you have some time for some Jesup news?
Well, hang on here.
Okay.
Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's. We got to do all the sponsorship.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. I love their pizza, Dale. They were kind enough to bring pizza in our live Christmas show. The Farrells are kind sponsors of the podcast, and I hope that they have a wonderful New Year themselves. Mike, thank you. You're on the show quite regular, and you know that you're always welcome to be on with us. Look forward to you and Dale arguing in Mr. Trump's first 100 days.
As we watch the world go to hell in a bit, right? Is that what? Think he'll agree? He won't. All right.
You heard it, Mike.
The one thing you can say, and I can't remember the context of the whole thing, but the person was giving a curse, putting a curse on another person, and he says, "May you lead an interesting life." And I think it's going to be interesting this next year. So
it is. Tonight we talk about the Netflix show A Man on the Inside with Ted Danson. We talk about too much fundraising in schools. We talk about the drones in the United States. And again, we want to thank the Winding Creek for having us and their clients for being with us last week. They were wonderful hosts
nice
with
people.
us. Yeah. Hopefully they're listening this week as well. Hopefully we made some
converts.
new fans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we will have to send it to Winding Creek every week.
Yeah, and I would bet that we're probably the first podcast they ever listened to.
I would bet.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
So we're opening up new horizons for them.
We are. Do you remember the first podcast you listened to, Dale?
Actually, it was this one.
It was. Okay.
No, actually, my son had some that he had recorded, and we would listen to them on our way up to Minnesota on a fishing trip. And so those are the first ones I listened to.
Oh, he did a podcast.
No, he didn't do it, but he had copied some that he listened to.
Oh.
And so then he played them for us as we in the car.
Yeah.
And so those are the first ones I ever listened to.
And what were they about?
See, now I can't tell you. I wouldn't. I mean, it's not that I'm holding back. It's just I don't remember exactly at this moment.
Sure.
But if you gave me time, I could figure them out. But they were very interesting. And
So just out of interest here, here are the podcasts that I listen to regularly. My number one show is the Dan Lebertard show. They amaze me. They do 4 hours every day.
yeah, and that was one of the shows we listened to was the sports show.
Okay. The Dan Lebertard show.
He started on ESPN and then went to his own show.
Yeah.
We listened to some of those.
I listened to Pardon the Interruption, which is on ESPN with Mike, two gentlemen, PTI. I listened to The Daily. It is done by the New York Times. I listened to The Opinion. I listened to the Wall Street Journal's podcast. I listened to Pablo Torre Finds Out. It's award-winning show. It is probably one of the best podcasts done in the world.
So are those weekly? You listen to them once a week, or? That one is the sports show's on every day.
The majority of them are daily.
Okay, so you just do this while you're doing your regular tasks around the house. You have that going, or?
I do. Instead of listening to the radio in the morning, I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, okay.
And I go to bed at night. I'll listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I remember now one of them we listened to, they were reviewing a movie, and it was not a new movie. It was a movie several years old, but it was a really good movie. And I think there were two men and a woman they were talking about, and I think an hour, they just talked about this one film. That was the whole podcast.
Yeah.
But it was, again, I found it very interesting. So
There are hundreds, there are thousands out there. Another one I listen to is Pod Save America.
okay, that's a neat name. So.
True Spies, the underworld about mafias around the world.
Okay.
Let's see, American Criminal, Sherlock Holmes mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
You sent me one the other day about, I think it was unintentional. It was a Mike Noir show you were recording on your phone, I think.
Well, it wasn't me. So.
I was.
If it was just by accident.
You did it by accident. Let's see here. I will.
What was it about?
It's one of those shows that appears on 1540. It's about a private investigator.
No, it wasn't me.
I will go to that.
Okay. Find it later on. Just let me know.
I will share that with you.
Okay.
But anyhow, the Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that does more than ramble, actually.
Yes, okay. Our theme song should be Rambling Rose, right? So
it has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills around them. Don't forget the long-range version is to house rural artists and a residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of the arts and the humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio space in exchange for a contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and the grounds. We are looking at bringing in a musician from Ireland, actually, in the middle of summer.
okay.
They will play 5 to 6 shows in the area over a 2-week period. And we're trying to find housing for them right now, as a matter of fact.
Traditional Irish instruments
They are, although they do traditional, they graduated from the University of Limerick with a master's in singing and songwriting.
Okay.
And they are great guitar players and singers, and they perform around Ireland. We're trying to get them, like I say, 5 to 6 shows.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used to doing 3 shows a week, so it'll probably be closer to 4 to 5 shows.
Well, Kelly has talked about having a program about songwriting, how to, and getting people in. And so I don't know if she has a date in mind, but when those people were here, if they have a master's degree and that sort of thing, they would be really good resource people.
That would be perfect. You're right. So we will have to do that. But we are looking for a venue for them to stay.
Mm-hmm.
It is a young woman. She's about 25, 26 years old. So we're looking for an appropriate place for her to stay is what we're looking for.
Okay.
Another sponsor for us is Derek's Repair, located in Jesup, Iowa. Please make sure that you look into our sponsors and use our sponsors. They've been very kind to us. Dale, what do you have for Jesup news this week?
Just a little bit. As you can tell, it's a slow time of the year, but the basketball people get started on the girls play on the 3rd of January at West Delaware and on the 6th of January at South Hardin. And what's the name of the town for South Hardin? But I know I've been there, but it's quite a drive. But it's almost like straight across on 20 and then up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where Roy Korn was the principal, right? Because I visited him there once.
Is that Jewel?
Jewel, I think, is probably it. It might be it. And then the boys start on the 9th of January is the first game I was on their schedule here, where Grundy Center comes to town. And that would be a boys and girls play. So the girls have 2 extra games according to this schedule, the 3rd at West Delaware and the 6th at South Hardin. So that's coming up. And the library is still going. There's a couple things here. January 20th, they're doing a book called The Rise and Fall of the Secret Service. It's called Fail, The Rise and Fall of the Secret Service. And I have my copy and ready to get into it.
Okay.
And so it looks like it should be very interesting. They still have the exercise group on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., and the Little Tot Story Time is every Thursday at 10:30. And so they will be closed in New Year's Eve and New Year's Day then.
Okay.
They'll still be closed. Starting in January, they'll have to work full-time for a while, won't they?
Yes, they will.
Yeah, so that's all I have for Jesup News, and I know that been some snow plowing done, and they're still looking for 2 people to work, I think, if you want to work for the city. It looks like I'll be pretty good jobs, and so look at their website. You can find the city's website.
You and I need to apply and try it. See who can knock the most mailboxes down.
You know,
Dale.
I always wanted to work with heavy machinery like backhoes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they put the city water system and sewer system in Hazelton. And I saw the guy had the big Caterpillar-like tracks and the big backhoe, and they were digging this ditch, clear around the town and everything to put the pipes in. And I remember watching them and thinking that'd be a neat thing to do, but of course I never did. But just to get those levers and yeah. I remember one time I worked with Alan Wright, and he had a backhoe, and we were digging a trench, and he stopped because he had felt something through that bucket, and we went down and looked, and it was like a 6-inch gas main that was in the wrong, it wasn't where it's supposed to be, but he was able to feel that through the controls, and so he didn't rip it out. He stopped before he ripped it out. And so
how lucky.
Yeah, really, because we both could have been very seriously injured.
Yes, you could have.
To have that kind of sensitivity, I think that's marvelous. It's sort of like feeling a fish on your line. They just have to do a little, but he was being very careful, and he could feel it. And
that was in town?
That was in town here, yeah, over on 10th Street, so 50 years ago.
Right.
But, I always thought that would be interesting. Where do we start off with this conversation? The city's looking for people.
That's right, that's right.
Like I said, why are we talking about this? Yeah, so we're trying to help the city out. They're looking for 2 people to work, and so if you're interested in that, look at their website, and it tells you exactly what to do. So
the school that I student taught at, the statute of limitations is run out on this now. We didn't have a playground on our school, so we would go to a local park, and we went over there. And when I student taught, part of the day was in physical education, the other part was in social studies. It was afternoon. We went to this park, and the guy that I was student teaching with, I won't say his name because he's superintendent in Iowa.
He'll come after you. He's got lawyers, I bet.
But he drove the bus over, drove the students over, and I rode with him over. He came. We were having PE in this park, and his wife came, and there was an emergency at home.
Yeah.
And so she got in the car. He got in the car with her and went home, and he threw me the keys of the bus and said, "Okay, drive them back to the school." And I said, "But mister, I don't have my bus license." He said, "Just drive them back to school." So we got done with the class, and everybody got on the bus. I don't think I'd ever driven a stick anyhow.
Yeah, I would say probably in those days it was all clutch, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I got on the bus, and the kids sat behind me, and they were giggling because they were watching me.
Yeah.
And I got us back to the school stalling about 3 times. But illegally. So, but hopefully the statute of limitations is running out now.
Marge Teeter, she worked at school as the board secretary for many years, and she always told the story about Burton North when he was, and I never met him, but he was the superintendent before Mr. Underwood, and he also was a bricklayer. So when they were building the part of the old school that became the kindergarten, he was out there helping them lay brick. And he got hot or something, and he kind of collapsed. Marge always got a big kiss. The other guy come running and say, "Hey, that big fat bricklayer just passed out there." She said, and he was the superintendent. So she always thought that was such a funny story that the guy would say that about the superintendent. He had no idea that the guy working with him was the superintendent that was paying him to lay block, and so, but kind of fun.
Oh, that is fun. Then my first year I taught, I got a summer job out in the Poconos, and they own 2 camps.
Yeah.
And I got there a week before the camp opened. I worked at one of their camps during the summer, and they had like stone and sand and stuff, and they had a dump truck. And of course, they needed somebody to drive that dump truck between the 2 camps, and so I drove a dump truck that week as well without my CDL.
Yeah.
And that was quite unique as well.
My worst experience, I was working at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro in California, and the sergeant, we were on the other side of the airstrip, and the sergeant sent me into Main Side to get something, I don't know what it was, and I could drive his car. Well, he had a little Volkswagen. And so I had a stick shift, which was no problem to me. I could drive that. So I get in there, park it on the street, and I run in the building and get the part and come back and get in the car, and I am between 2 cars, so I cannot find reverse anywhere. I mean, I'm going all over and I can't find reverse. And I'm starting to sweat it because I'm supposed to be back there with this thing. And so finally I put it in neutral and I got out and I just pushed it back by hand. It was so light. And then I could get in, I could drive it out straight. But I found out later you had to push down on the gear shift and over and down or whatever. But that was an experience I had with stick shifts. It was not much fun. Just lucky it wasn't a Cadillac or something. So.
All right. Well, we've got some carolers going by, caroling on New Year's Eve. How dare they carol on New Year's Eve?
I don't know any New Year's Eve songs, do you? Or?
No. Okay. Well. Is it?
Oh, yeah. Old Lang Syne.
Old Lang Syne.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you know the words to that, though? Or?
I do.
Okay. Can you sing it with a Scottish brogue?
No.
Okay. All right.
So Dale, there's a show out we were talking about earlier called A Man on the Inside. It's with Ted Danson, and it is about a man that is hired by a private investigator. And he goes into a facility much like Winding Creek, and he has to live there, and he tries to find out who stole this man's father's jewelry.
Okay, so he's undercover in the nursing home.
He is.
Oh, okay.
He is.
So he has to be older to fit in, right?
He does.
Okay.
He does. And Danson, this produced by Mike Schur, and it's a hit. A lot of people that are in places like Winding Creek talk about how some of the events in A Man on the Inside are similar to their
real life
experiences, and it has touched a lot of their hearts. Danson and the creator Mike Schur find a lot of gratification for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would make you feel good.
Yeah, so they're real proud of it. If you remember, Ted Danson got his start in the show Cheers.
Mm-hmm. One of my all-time favorite shows was Cheers.
Yeah.
Some of those shows you couldn't help but laugh out loud. I mean, they were so very well written and acted out. It was just.
That's one of the shows I try to watch every day.
Okay.
And Danson talks about on that show on Cheers that he went down to Fenway, and they took a picture of him and a couple other guys in Red Sox uniforms next to Carl Yastrzemski.
Okay.
And it was between a doubleheader, and Yastrzemski was trying to rest between games.
Yeah.
And he was pretty disappointed he had to take that picture.
Yeah. Because on that show, his character was a former Red Sox pitcher, right?
Yes.
Mayday Malone. He was a relief pitcher. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But if you get a chance, it's on Netflix. A Man on the Inside. starring Ted Danson, and some of the other one of the other stars is from All in the Family, Sally Struthers.
Okay.
And Mike Schur was talking about all these stars are all these older stars are on there. And like Sally Struthers was telling the story about how she dated Elvis for a while.
Oh, okay.
And I don't recall that,
Yeah.
but I'm sure she did. She was very popular in All in the Family.
Yeah. My biggest shock with Sally Struthers is she was in a movie called The Getaway, a Steve McQueen movie.
Yeah.
And killer kidnaps her husband and ties him up, makes him do all this stuff, and she falls in, or starts having an affair with the killer. It was just so out of character.
Right.
But he had a hard time with that because she was such a naughty girl in that movie. But holy cow.
This is Steve Brown, Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, do you remember when you taught doing fundraisers in school?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what they sold. All I think now is I would sell them books.
Right.
We had the Scholastic Book Club.
Yeah.
Is when I would. What was it? It was like those candy bars or something or?
Yes, candy bars, magazines,
I don't think my kids sold magazines. They may have.
candles,
No, we didn't sell candles. I don't think.
bed sheets.
No, we didn't sell bed sheets.
Okay.
Well, up here they're selling beds or mattresses.
They're selling mattresses right now.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think we did nearly as much as my grandkids have done.
Right.
Yeah. So my grandkids, they had a fundraiser at Hudson, and it was called Grandparents' Day. So one of my grandsons invited me to come, so I could go to have lunch with him. Okay, so I get there to have lunch with him. Well, they charged me for my lunch. And then after lunch, then we got to go to the Scholastic Book Club sale where I bought $40 worth of books. I thought I was coming just to go to lunch on the school, but I ended up paying for the lunch and buying books. And so they knew who their target audience was that day.
Yes, they did.
But my granddaughter in Johnston, she's in this, it's a special kind of cheerleading thing. And my son-in-law was telling me about they have how many different, it's called Sparkle Cheerleading, how many different shirts and sweatshirts he now has.
Yeah.
Says every week they had a different one out for sale. And so his whole wardrobe now is Sparkle Cheerleader shirts. And so that's all part of it too, I guess.
It is. But, it is. I can't. There's an argument. Somebody said rather than do a fundraiser, that people should just donate. Families should just donate $5 a month to the school.
Well, where my wife taught, they had this big fundraiser, and it was through. You ordered out of a catalog. They had all these different products, and they made a lot of money. But it was so much work, and so the next year, or several years down the line, they just said, okay, we're going to have a fundraiser. Without the fundraiser, just whatever you would normally spend on a fundraiser, just send it into the school, and they did it that way.
Yeah.
And it was much simpler, and they raised as much money.
Right.
And so I think people appreciated not having to go to all the work or to go through the catalog and buy the stuff and fill out the forms and this sort of thing. So
by the end, when I was teaching, somebody would come. And usually they would sell an item for $20, and the school would get $5.
Sure, yeah.
And so at the end, rather than buy an item, I would just donate $5 to the fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it each time, and that was so much easier and so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. One time they were doing a jumpathon where the kids would jump rope for X number of minutes, and they would get donations for every jump.
Yeah.
So, I miscalculated how many jumps a kid could do in a couple of minutes, and so I ended up owing a lot of money. I learned my lesson, and so after that, when they had those kind of things, okay, I'll give $25. I would sit there going so many for each jump. I said, this is my limit. I'll do this. Jump as many times you want, but that's what I'll give you, because I really miscalculated how many times a kid could jump in a minute or two or whatever. It was unbelievable. So
in the first place, that student taught, they had a poster, and I always loved this poster. I can still see it today. It was a poster with a tank on, and it read, when is the last time the government did a fundraiser for a tank?
Sure, yeah.
That's how I always felt. I always felt like the students should have to be doing fundraisers to have stuff in school.
Well, I know at Hudson, it'd be over Christmas break, they would have a basketball camp or a basketball practice, and every year they had a free throw shooting, and you got pledges for how many you would make out of 100, and that was a fundraiser for the booster club. And my grandson, usually in the 80s, you get $1 or $2 a shot, and so. But his senior year, I thought, okay, if you make more than 90, I'll give you $5 a basket. And he made 95 out of 100.
Wow.
So I owed him a lot of money, but it was the last time, to help the booster club out because he was graduating. But so that was a fundraiser we were involved with also.
That's awesome. That was a great shoot.
So, yeah.
All right. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. And Dale, you have some unique...
Well, I don't know if they're unique, and I got a couple things, but I would... Chain letters, you remember chain letters?
Yes.
People would send them out. Well,
Do you believe in those?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe anything supernatural is going to harm me or anything.
Right.
But this was a chain letter for teachers that came out in schools a year ago, or several years ago.
Several years.
It says, "Dear teacher, are you tired of your present principal? Well, simply send a copy of this letter to 6 other schools that are tired of their principals. Then bundle up your principal and send him to this school at the top of the list. Add the name of your school to the bottom of the list. In 1 week, you will receive 16,436 principals. One of them should be a dandy." But then it says, "Deliver this letter, or one school broke the chain and they got their own principal back." So I thought that was kind of cute. So. Now, I have some questions for you and Blake to see how sharp you are today, okay? How far can a dog run into the woods?
All the way into the woods. All the way into the woods.
No.
Blake, how far can a dog run into the woods?
Just halfway. After that, he's running out of the woods. These are tough. This is not...
That was a good one.
Yeah. A doctor gives you 3 pills, telling you to take one every half hour. How long would the pills last?
An hour.
1 hour, right?
Yep.
He's not thinking. Okay. Yeah, actually, you're actually right. Okay. A farmer has 17 sheep, and all but 9 die. How many are left?
9.
Okay. How many animals of each sex did Moses take on the ark?
Moses didn't fly the ark. Noah flew the ark.
He didn't fly. You are correct. A clerk in the butcher shop is 5 foot 10 inches tall. How does he weigh? Or what does he weigh?
A clerk in the butcher shop
is 5 feet 10 inches tall. What does he weigh?
He weighs meat.
Yes, he does. Okay. How many 2-cent stamps are there in a dozen?
A dozen. 12.
12. Okay. Last one. What was the president's name in 1950?
That was Truman.
Joe Biden.
Oh. That's right.
That's
yes,
right.
Very good.
Right.
Very
Okay.
good. That one was a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll say that for next week, okay?
All right.
What I got left?
All right. So, this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, I don't know if you've been watching the news and watching the papers and stuff, but there've been a lot of drone sightings out in the eastern United States.
Yep.
And the question is, what are they? Do you have an opinion on this? Do you know what they are?
No, well, the FBI investigated 500 and some sightings, and they said less than 100 of them are credible, that most of them could be explained they are fixed-winged aircraft or that they're manned. They're not unmanned drones, but there were fewer than 100 of them that would need more explanation. So it's more like mass hysteria than we're being invaded by anybody. It was interesting to me, since the guy's a congressman from North Carolina, he said, well, Iran has sent a mothership out over the over the ocean, and they're sending these little drones out to spy on us and everything. Absolutely no credible evidence to that at all. This guy's in Congress, So someone should have advised him that, well, maybe you shouldn't talk about that till you had more evidence. So, yeah, I have no idea. They're probably just, they caught a couple, 3 guys were flying them near the airport, near Boston. And the cops they had a system of tracking them. And so when they got there, the 3 guys are hustling away as fast as they can, and they caught 2 of them, and the other one they're hunting down now. And so they are taking this serious. And it was interesting because the news guy the other day was talking about these drones at the end. Now, you do not own the airspace above your house. You cannot shoot these things down if they're flying over your house. That's a felony. It's against the law, really bad. So I say, don't get out there with your shotgun and try to blast them out of the sky, because they could kill somebody falling down on the ground after you disable them and this sort of thing. And so encouraging people not to shoot at them. And I am frankly very surprised that no one has been shooting at them. So
there was a showdown in Miami over Thanksgiving that had thousands of drones, that they were flying, and one crashed into the beach, one crashed into the ocean. That'd be the ocean of the Gulf there.
Well, the Gulf is part of the ocean,
Gulf,
so you're saying.
But the rest didn't. And what it was a turtle boarding, not sailboarding.
Oh, you said a turtle?
Yeah, I mean that was the show they were putting on with all these drones. And imagine they had thousands of drones in the air, not crashing into each other.
Yeah.
The technology that they have to do that.
Well, my grandson has a hobby drone, and he had one that he's upgraded it to a little bit. But in it'll film. It'll film from up above. But a charge only lasts like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it takes several hours to charge the battery up again. So I can't imagine if they have a drone that's as big as a bus or something, what kind of battery they have in that thing. I just find it very hard to believe that somebody has a battery like that could fly those big drones like that for the amount of time they're seeing them.
Well, the government drones that they're using, those fly forever.
Yeah. Well, I think they have a time limit on them. They have to have some kind of battery operated.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they fly for like 10 hours.
Yeah. I mean, so
yeah,
they must have. I'm just saying that these drones that they're seeing, if they're that big, they must have some powerful technology, some powerful batteries, and you would think it'd be real easy to find out who's buying those kind of things. But,
you would think so.
Yeah.
So here's a theory that nobody. You hear this. You hear that it's near one of Donald Trump's golf courses. It's near where the president-elect is staying.
Yeah.
Well, you almost got to wonder, is the Secret Service using it to make sure that he is safe?
Sure.
Because the government is not getting really excited about this.
But Trump has come out saying there would need to be further investigation or more work into this. So you would think he would know if they were for him.
Yeah.
Because he's come out saying that we're not getting all the information from the government that we should.
Right.
So I don't know. And who was it? Rosie O'Donnell said, they're aliens. They're from outer space. She's just positive we're being invaded by little green men or whatever. And history will not look too kindly on those kind of comments, I guess. So.
There is at least a million registered drones in our country.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable. Because the little ones don't have to be registered, do they? The hobby ones, or
I don't know if they do or not.
Because some of those you have to have training or have to pass a test or something to I guess drive the thing to operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a residential area or whatever. They don't want they want people to have some knowledge of how to handle that safely.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was riding on Ragbri one time, and I looked maybe 100 yards ahead, and above the road, probably 20 yards, this drone flew across the road.
Yeah.
And then flew back. And I'm sure they had cameras and were taking pictures of us.
But it would make you jump, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Just because it did just appear out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
so like red-winged blackbirds come attacking you when you're riding by. So
Yeah.
same darn thing.
So you don't think any of these are any foreign power that is trying to spy
No,
on
I
us?
don't think so. Because all the controversy, and it's in the news all the time, and everybody's up in arms about it, you would think if I was doing it, I'd say, well, this might be a good time to retreat for a while. But it doesn't seem like there's any lessening of this. So I think it's just, well, what's the word? Crackpots? I don't know, just people that are, just to see what's going to happen, I think.
Yes.
So that's what I think. I doubt that they're, if you were an alien and smart enough to get here from some planet light years away, you wouldn't be messing with those things. You'd have much more sophisticated things to do. So
Yeah. The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Just a few announcements for the Steve Brown Arts Center. We are showing our artist in resident, Rich Moore Kelly, at M's Coffee Shop over in Independence. Also, he has a couple pieces he's showing down at Sue Kennicott and Tony Kennicott's studio down by the Jesup car wash. You get a chance to see Sue's stuff. You can see a couple of Rich's pieces as well. Mm-hmm. I want to thank Sue for allowing Rich to show in there during one of her recent shows. Thank you so much, Sue. We are presently trying to arrange next year's calendar, and we have a number of new things we're trying to. I was talking to a medium today, trying to arrange a seance.
okay.
Kelly, I talked to Kelly, and I talked to a number of the ladies down at Cowork 591, and there's an interest. There's interest in a seance.
Okay. And do you have a medium? Did you say?
Talked to one in Dubuque. I was reading this, actually. It is illegal in Cedar Rapids to tell someone's future.
Oh, is that right?
That law came out somewhere in the 1940s, 1950s, and it's never been rescinded, you know.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's obviously hard to find or to catch someone doing
well,
that.
yeah, you have a raid on a seance. Well, that would be not look too good for the police department, I think. But
I think I've told the story of my friend that introduced me to the witches in Ireland on the air before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it is quite interesting. But we're trying to arrange the calendar for 2025 right now, and as the year ends here, we almost have the dates, and that calendar will be out very soon. Before we end this show, Dale, do you have anything else for us?
I'm good to go.
All right. This is, don't forget that if you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center and have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@SteveBrownArtsCenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. Thanks again to Winding Creek for having us at our second straight show here, and Happy New Year to all of you out there.
All right. Have a Happy New Year. It's going to be great.
I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Thanks as always to Kelly C. Haas and Heartland for allowing us to use their podcast material. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day, and remember, each day is about little victories.